Okay, I think we're live. Okay, Shawn, jump on. We're gonna get this party started, you guys. I'm so excited to introduce you to Shawn. Um, little out of sorts this morning. I'm not in Idaho, obviously not at Chardonnay's, but we are going to get started. Okay, Shawn, you should be able to invite yourself now. Yay! Add, add. Okay. Hey, so far so good. Sometimes the ad takes a second, which drives me crazy, but you know what? Facebook love you. You're awesome. He's here. Well, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I can hear you. You can hear me.
Yes, all tech is working.
We have a lag
I feel
on
like
your end.
you can only see my mouth.
You got a lag on your end, honey.
Oh man. Let's see. Maybe I can come back in. Try that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Click out and click back in. Hey, Tracy, glad you're on, honey. It's good to see you. I'm actually here in Casper. Okay, let's try this one more. Let's see if it works. Tracy, you are gonna love my guest today. He is so freaking fabulous. Okay, how about this? Oh, I can't hear you.
Check 1, 2. Check, check, check.
Oh,
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there's still that weird lag. That is so bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it like my mouth isn't matching my words?
No, and it's so trippy. It's just like, it's so trippy.
Okay, well, I'll try to speak into the future. I don't know how to fix that. Let's
If
see.
anyone can do it, my dear friend, it's you.
Let me see. Let me try something. Ah. Hmm. Let me try to take my check 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Is that better?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Much better. Yes. Much better.
Oh, good. Okay, so it was my AirPods. So I hope how does that sound? Does that sound okay?
Yes, it does. It sounds pretty good. It does. It sounds pretty good.
Okay, good.
Except
All
now
right. Well, we're on.
now I can hear me. I'm getting the feedback from you. So I can hear myself.
Oh. Okay, so it's either you hear yourself a little bit or I'm a little delayed.
Let's do you a little delayed.
Okay.
Technology, I love it. Okay, are we good to go?
Can you hear me?
I can hear. Yes, you're synced.
Oh, cool. All right.
Oh,
Let's do
well, and
this.
now you're not, but that's okay. It's better than it was. It's better than it was. So, oh my gosh. So you guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Christa, which this morning is Coke with Christa because everything is different. So let's just screw everything up. I want to give a huge shout out before we jump in today. I want to give a huge shout out to my amazing sponsor, Chardonnay Juarez and Chardonnay's Brew Lane. As you can see, I am not there today. I'm actually here in my beautiful, wonderful Wyoming, visiting grandkids, celebrating some birthdays with them. And because I am who I am, I happen to be hanging out at one of my clients right now. I had a team meeting with him and his team yesterday, working on some social media stuff and some other coaching. And because, you know, Brian's pretty fantastic. Those of you that are here locally, make sure do not miss Free Cookie Friday. Come down to Brian Hilling's Allstate office on 2nd and Walsh. don't want to miss that. It's super fun, something that we've implemented. So anyway, so hi Chardonnay, I miss you. I hope you get to log on here in a little bit. It's weird not being there with you today. So this is Coffee with Christa. This is my opportunity every single week to introduce each of you to people that I think you really need to know. So whether you're hanging out with me today and you want information or inspiration or something in between, I promise you I'm going to do my very best to deliver. And today, whoa, am I delivering? Because we have got the one, the only, the amazing Shawn Quintero, who happens to be one of my business coaches. He's absolutely fabulous. Shawn, thank you for being here.
Yeah, Krista, I'm so proud of all of the progress you've made. I'm super proud of all of the action you've taken this year. It is, I mean, this year is clearly going to be your greatest year yet. So I'm super excited for you, and I'm super excited to be on the show today.
Oh my gosh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. So for those of you that don't know Shawn, we actually met. This is the coolest story. It's like one of my favorite you'll meet cutes ever. So I am that mentality. I am that person. Oh hey, my Sierra is on. Hi Meg. Meg is on with us, Shawn. Hi April. Thanks for joining us. So I actually Shawn and I met online. I am one of those people that loves to, hey, I love to sign up and do, get different classes and things. I usually sign up and then I never take them. But for whatever reason, I signed up for Shawn's and I took it. Oh my gosh, look who's in the house.
He wants to say hi.
Oh, hi, baby. Oh, that.
All right, keep going. Keep going.
See, I get distracted by the cute puppies. And so I took Shawn's class, and you guys, here's the thing. Those of you that just took it, that just participated in my 5-day challenge, I mirrored it. It was his template. It was all meat and potatoes. And for me to jump on a free 5-day challenge and actually get what I needed to be able to move forward with my business was life-changing for me. And so, hey, Shirley's on too, Shawn. That was a really big deal. That was life-changing for me. And within about a week or so of actually connecting with Shawn, being a part of the challenge, joined his academy, and the next thing I knew, I had the opportunity to be one of the lucky attendees at his first annual Entrepreneurs Academy retreat, where I have this amazing circle of people who are a phenomenal influence, and this is the guy. This is him. This is Shawn, who is the founder of the Legacy Tribe. And I'm never going to do you justice. Shawn, tell us all about you. What do we need to know about you?
Yeah, so he's literally climbing on me.
Hey,
okay, this is live. So what's really amazing is I mean, I have had the amazing honor and privilege of working with some of the biggest names in the marketplace, right? Like Michael Hyatt, Pat Flynn, Michael Stelzner, Eric Ries, Ryan Dice. Like, these are massive influencers in marketplace, specifically like digital marketing, social media. And what's amazing is I've had the amazing honor of becoming like a best-selling author, of being able to travel across the US and speak on amazing stages, of being able to lead this community of faith-filled believers, people who absolutely love Christ, but also absolutely love funnels and business and marketing and strategy and sales. And faith and funnels are totally what they love talking about. And so I've had this amazing honor, but it wasn't always that way. Yeah. I still have the scars on my wrist to prove how little value I gave my life. When I was in middle school, I remember being bullied and called horrible names. I remember being punched and not just like verbally bullied, like physically bullied. I remember being in 9th grade in French class, sitting in the very back, having a blade that I brought to school so I can cut my wrist. And I remember thinking, if I just go deep enough, I could end it all. Because here's the reality, I did not have a great childhood. I grew up in an incredibly abusive unit house, and my parents got divorced, and I was so depressed. I had no idea who I was. I had no idea what I was called to, and I thought, if all I'm supposed to do in this life is feel pain, then what is my purpose? Why even continue? And I remember there was a moment where I was at my church, and God spoke to me because I had resisted him and I had fought him, and I said, I hate you. I hate the fact that you created me. I hate the fact that I have this life. I don't want anything to do with you. And I remember him speaking so clearly. And he said these 4 words, are you done yet? Are you done fighting me? Because all I have are open arms, ready to love you, ready to give you purpose, ready to heal and restore you, ready to reconcile you, and ready to be able to, and ready to give you purpose and power and a calling that is going to change the world. But if you end it, if you cut deeper, listen, enough blood was shed. You don't have to shed anymore. If you just stop and you give everything to me, I guarantee life will never be the same. And since that moment, I remember saying, okay, God, I'm laying down all my pain, all my hurt, all my brokenness, all the bondage, all my bad habits. I'm laying it all at the cross, and I'm saying, all I want is you. So God took me through a journey of about 6 years of figuring out who I was called to be, who he called me to be, and not what I thought I was, not what the bullies thought I was, not what the society chose for me, but for me to say, okay, this is what God has called for me, and this is what I'm moving forward in. It took me 6 years of restoration, of doing inner work, not personal development, although I love personal development. It was personal restoration, personal healing. I had to be healed before I could develop and
And
mature.
Shawn, I have to
And
tell you,
then,
you were a key player with me, because I think we have a tendency, wouldn't you agree? We have a tendency to lean too heavily into personal development and the missing piece. I mean, I have been a personal development junkie for 15 years, but it wasn't until you introduced me to the concept of restoration prior to the development that things really shifted. I mean, it was a bigger deal than I think I've shared with you. So I love that you share that with
you
us.
know, yeah, there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are so broken inside who think I'm going to start a business so I could be really, really successful, and that's going to fix me. Or I'm going to start a business and I'm going to make a whole lot of money, and then all my problems are going to go away. And the reality is all the pain, hurt, tragedy, trauma that we experience in our personal lives, we bring into our business. So there's a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of brokenness that is on the foundation of our business. And I fully believe a business will never outgrow its leader, its CEO, its entrepreneur. And so if you aren't growing and restoring, your business can't grow. Your business can't be laid on a strong foundation. And so I spent 6 years of really focusing on personal restoration. And then I remember I was working at a church full time. Honestly, I thought I was going to be a pastor. I remember being, 7 years old, being in my room, preaching to my teddy bears and the Lion King. And, I remember I thought I was going to go be a pastor. So I started working at a church. I worked at a church for about 8 years, and I thought that I was like, I'm exactly where God's called me. I'm working in his house, and God spoke to me. I remember being at my desk, and I was a media production director at the church that I was at, so I was doing a lot of media production. And I remember God spoke to me, and he said, this is not what I've called for you. And I was like, what? Like, I'm literally working in full-time ministry. You sure? Like, okay. So he gave me a vision. He gave me a memory, actually, of who I was in 5th grade. And in 5th grade, I remember making paper wallets to sell for $0.25 because I wanted a brownie from the cafeteria. And he reminded me of my entrepreneurial passions and my entrepreneurial calling and assignment and anointing. So I said, okay, so I'm going to go start this business. So I started this business alongside my full-time ministry, kind of started the side gig, if you will. And it totally flopped. We made, it was an offline event-driven business. So we did these local events. It was super amazing, super powerful. We called it a night of inspiration. We brought out local artists, local speakers, local dancers, local performers, and this amazing evening of inspiration. And we would make about $10,000, but it would also cost us about $10,000 to rent the location, to pay the performers, like all of that. So we weren't making any money. So I knew I had to figure out this business stuff. I was anointed for it, but I wasn't mature in it. And
Good
so
observation.
I went into Google, my favorite university, and I Googled local business conference because I knew if I were around the people who understood business, I would catch something. So I looked it up, found this perfect business called the Lean Startup Conference. It was for startups specifically. And I went to go buy a ticket, and tickets were like $35,000 to $4,000 for a ticket, for the general ticket, not like VIP or platinum, like the general ticket. And I'm working at a church, so I'm barely making above minimum wage. There was no way I could afford that. but I scoured their website and I said, I'm not going to let money stop me from my destiny. So I scoured their website, found an email address on like a random privacy page or something, and I emailed them. And I said, I will help with registration. I will move chairs. I will pass out flyers. I will do whatever you need me to do. I will volunteer my time if I could just be in the room, just be around those people. And I remember mentioning I have a media production background, so probably like AV, backstage stuff might be the best fit for me, but I'll do whatever. They said, okay, come on down. I didn't realize it was 8 hours away. So me and my dad literally drove 8 hours away. We stayed in what I think was a hostel. Like it was like, we bootstrapped it. And the day before the event, they call me and they say, hey, Shawn, you mentioned in your email, you have like media production background. Our technical director is throwing up in the room, in his hotel room. He can't do the show. Do you think you can? So I had done it for 8 services a week for years. So I knew exactly what I was doing. I stepped into the role, totally wowed them. I was prepared for it. Production, you got to wear all black. You got to have like your notepad. You got to have everything ready for it. And so 2 weeks passed, I do the show, it was amazing. 2 weeks passed, the CEO calls me and says, Shawn, that was amazing. You were there at the right time with the right skill set for the right moment. You literally helped save the show. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, this is pretty cool, phone call. And then they said, Shawn, we want to fly you out next time, put you in a beautiful suite, and pay you thousands of dollars for our next event for a weekend's worth of work. How does that sound? And I'm like, yeah, that's amazing.
That's pretty good
I've
to
never
me.
made like $5,000. Yeah. You know, and I'm like trying to play it cool. Like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. All right. But inside I'm like going crazy. So I go to the event, I do it again. And then what happens is other conferences began to hear about me. And I began to work with these amazing influencers on their conferences. So I literally go from somebody who's driving 8 hours, staying in a hostel, to someone who's being flown in business class, staying in a suite. I literally go from being in the back of the room as a room monitor to being backstage, shaking hands and having conversations with these amazing influencers. That was a God shift that I could not do on my own, but I had to put myself in a position where God could move. I didn't let money stop me, time stop me, or anything like that. So I remember being in San Diego, overlooking the bay, and it was in the evening, and I remember seeing all these sparkly lights of the boats and the cars and, you know, the city. And I remember being in my suite and thinking, wow, I've made it. Like, this is awesome. God called me to be an entrepreneur, and I'm doing the thing, right? Like, I'm doing it. I'm getting paid great money, connecting with great people. And I remember God spoke to me again, and he said, Shawn, this is still not what I've called you for. And at this point, I had quit working in full-time ministry. I had gone all in on this business. I had built this incredible business, and I was depressed from that moment because I thought, God, if you're not in this, if this isn't what you've called me for, I'm literally wasting my time, because if you're not in it, I want nothing to do with it. He didn't say anything after that. So I was like, crap, what the heck? I thought I was going to have to give all this up. I didn't know what to do. So I go to a worship experience. It was this massive stadium, about 10,000 people there. And we had scheduled it, like me and my wife had gone, at the time she was my girlfriend. And 2 weeks had passed. We go to this Hillsong worship night. And I had worked at church for 8 years. I had played in the band. I know the songs, like I know the chords, I know the lyrics. I was not going in with very high expectations. I was going in like, okay, I've done this before, right? This will be cool. And I remember stepping onto right past the door of the stadium, and God spoke to me again. And he said, do you want to hear from me tonight? And I said, yes, that's all I want. And he said, okay, then throw it all at the cross again. Before you threw your pain, your trauma, your tragic, the hurt, the bondage, you threw that at. Now I want you to throw something else at the cross. I want you to lay down your vision, your ambition, your productivity, your effectiveness, your skill, your drive. I want you to lay that down. Your personal development. I want you to lay all that down and give it to me. And I said, okay, God. So I go, and he says, worship me like you've never worshiped me before. So I'm worshiping. I'm like singing, like I'm ugly crying through the whole thing. I'm like both hands up, screaming out the lyrics, giving everything, because I didn't want to leave anything there. I wanted to throw it all. And there was a song that crescendos, so it like builds up, drums are going, guitars going, singers are going, and then it decrescendos, or it like gets really soft and really like really chill and very emotional. Then it builds up, builds up, builds up. Then it brings down. So it goes. It's like this roller coaster of a song. And I remember God saying, at the peak, I want you to open your eyes. Keep your eyes closed the entire time until it reaches the peak. And at the peak, I want you to open your eyes. I'm going to remind you of the impact and the purpose I've called for you. So I said, okay. And so I closed my eyes, and he says, when you open your eyes, look at the lights. So I closed my eyes, and I'm thinking he's talking about like the spotlights, like the concert lights or whatever. And I'm waiting for that peak moment. I'm throwing everything at the cross. I'm like worshiping with everything. It gets to that peak moment, and I open my eyes, and I see maybe 20 spotlights just going crazy, kind of like a concert. But I also see glitter falling from the ceiling that they were releasing, spotlights hitting the glitter and cascading light all across the stadium. And then I see people with their phones out, with their flashlight on, 10,000 lights, hundreds of thousands of lights scattered across the stadium. And God spoke to me at that moment. And he said, this is exactly what Abraham saw when he looked at the stars and he couldn't count the number of stars in the sky. And I said, oh my gosh. And so I start ugly crying even more. And I'm a crybaby. I totally cry at everything. And so I'm like ugly crying. And he says, and he says, I haven't called you to be in the spotlight. I haven't called you to make it all about you and how awesome and successful you can be. I've called you to make it about the other people. I've called you to be a spotlight, not to be in the spotlight, to be a spotlight that shines a light into the darkness and allows people, the glitter, to be able to cascade light across this world so that we build this incredible powerhouse of hope and of power and of anointing and of favor and of grace, where people can say, I'm hopeless, but there's hope. Or maybe I'm feeling depressed, but there's an answer. Or maybe I don't know what to do in my business and I feel stuck, but there's a coach there for you. And so I said, okay, God, I've been making it about me, how successful and awesome and amazing I am. I throw that and I'm going to focus on your people. Very next day, I started a Facebook group specifically for Christian entrepreneurs. And I thought, well, are there other people out there like me? Like they love Jesus, they love funnels, they like all the stuff. And I start the Facebook group, and like a month later, there's like 300 people in the group. I don't do any marketing. I don't put any Facebook ads out. Like I don't do anything. So like, oh my gosh, there are people and there is a need. And then it's now grown to like 5,000 people, 5,000 plus people in our Facebook group, which is amazing. And now I've had the honor of really being able to coach people and work with people and see amazing people go from literally, I just got an email from someone who went through one of our programs, literally had her first $10,000 month in December. And then in January, had her first $2,500 gig, like for an hour, $2,500 an hour gig. It's amazing. And what we've really realized is there's a lot of people who struggle with money. They bring shame and they bring guilt and they bring all of this negative energy into money. They have a hard time talking to their spouse about money without getting into an argument. So then they start this business. They got to talk about money. They got to have that sales call with the prospect in order to get a client. But then they bring all that shame and guilt and insecurity and negative energy into that conversation as well. So they either become really pushy or they become really passive, and they don't know how to confidently talk about money, and they don't recognize that oftentimes they're playing a really small game when they could be playing at a much bigger level, create much more radical transformation in their clients' lives, and be way more generously compensated than they are now. So we show people exactly how to have that sales conversation and really own the money talk. So it's been a crazy journey. We just had our first retreat where you introduced me to a personality test that you like helped create and mold, and it was amazing. We had you in our community to do a masterclass on that, and it's been crazy.
It has been so amazing. I love that I get to be one of those flecks of glitter for you. I love getting to be a part of this community. And some of the things that, for those of you that are not familiar, Christian Entrepreneurs Academy, those of you that are believers, this is such a nurturing, safe, fun, engaging space. I had been looking for my tribe for so long, and I had, after I moved to Idaho almost 4 years ago, and you guys, I just struggled. I had such a hard time. I had a pretty successful coaching business here in Wyoming, and I had clients all across Wyoming. I had, coast to coast through an organization that I had been affiliated with at the time, but and in northern Colorado. But I went from being a big fish in a little pond to being like this minnow in an ocean, and I kind of got lost, and I kept trying to find my tribe. And I'm telling you, the game changer for me with my business and getting back to knowing who I am and whose I am was in huge part to Shawn and his team. And they're amazing. I mean, oh my gosh, I love your team. I love Aldrima. She's so stinking cute. I just adore her, and the whole crew, and your bride. And I love this. I love. Oh, Kimberly Davies is on. Hi, honey. The other coach. I think that the thing that I love the most about, and I really want you to talk about how like the legacy tribe, how this was formed, and what it looks like moving forward, because you've shared it with me, you've shared it with those of us in the group, and it's just when you think it cannot get any better or bigger, or it's so crazy awesome to see what God's doing in your life, and in by association, those of us that are
Yeah, so my AirPods just died, so I have to go off the AirPods. Okay. I hope that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Legacy Tribe is amazing. It's essentially, we have built a community that focuses not on the Lamborghini, the Rolex, the mansion. Those are nice. I'm not bashing on those, but we want something bigger and greater. We want to create legacy. We want to change lives. We want to make a difference in the world, and we want to be able to build purposeful profit, where we make a whole lot of money so that we can give a whole lot of money. And I believe there are people who are, they're building wells, they're digging schools, building wells, rescuing people from human trafficking. I mean, they're putting shoes on people's feet. They're literally at the front lines of ministry, and that's what we get to do, is empower those people like you, Christa, who can build an incredibly successful business, then change the world in ways only you can, specifically furthering the kingdom of Christ. And so we have this big, massive vision of how we want to take this movement to the next level. We are doing retreats. I'm currently on tour, so I'm visiting several cities across the US and really connecting with people offline. And then we're also planning this massive conference next year. This literally is the first time I've actually talked about it publicly. So you get like a sneak peek, but planning this massive conference. So we're planning this massive conference for kingdom-driven, Christian, faith-filled entrepreneurs to gather together to be able to connect with each other and build relationship and build collaboration. I mean, there's so much a part of the vision, but really the academy and everything we do is designed to be able to bring in people who have built 6, 7, 8, 9-figure businesses not through their own might or their own grind or their own hustle, but through the power of grace and through the power of collaboration and through the kingdom principles that are laid out in the Word. And so it's very possible for us to be able to create incredible businesses that we don't have to sustain, because God sustains it, and that we don't have to figure out, like, follow the guru's roadmap or the guru's blueprint. We can say, okay, God, what do you have for my business? What strategy do you have for my business? And how can I implement that and be obedient to your word? And so there's just so much amazing things happening with the Legacy Tribe.
Oh, I'm so excited. I am really hoping I'm the only one hearing this feedback. This is ridiculous. I can hear my voice. I can hear my voice. It's crazy. So answer this for me. One of the things that I took away from the retreat was this concept of the fact that we really can be bigger than what we think we are. The vision is bigger than what we believe it to be. We really do get stuck in our own way.
and you just need to do a job of bringing together.
So here's what I'm going to do.
So here's what I'm going to do.
I'm going to stop talking.
I'm going to stop
I'd love for
talking,
you to just
and I would love for you to just share about
just the
just the information behind and the formation of it, and what shifted for you,
where you
to
were
to the Legacy Tribe this.
Yeah, so if I understand your question, please let me know. I don't see the comments, so let me know if I'm also echoey. And if I okay, cool. All right. So if I fully understand the question is, how did I build a business that's bigger than myself? And how can others build a business that's bigger than themselves? We oftentimes focus just on the monetary gain of a business. How much money can I make, right? How big of a sale can I make? And money's great. Money's a tool. Money's a resource. God has called us to be overwhelmingly blessed with resource, because you can only give from what you have been given. You can't give from an empty cup. And so God literally wants to overwhelm us with resource so that we can be able to give plentifully and live a life of generosity. But there was a 2-word question that I asked myself over and over and over again. And the 2-word question was this: what else? So there's an exercise that I have a lot of people go through, and I'm not sure if I did this at the retreat or not, but of course you're starting a business to make money. Duh. Like, I hope you start a business to make money. Of course you're going to be able to pay the bills, have more time freedom, have more opportunity to go on vacation, maybe fire that boss. You know, you're going to be able to leave corporate America or your 9 to 5. That's inevitable when you start a business and it becomes successful. What else do you want to do? What else are you going to be able to do with your life, with the time, outside of just paying the bills? Because here's the reality: God hasn't called us just to make enough to be comfortable, which a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people say, I just want to be comfortable, or I just want to get by. And yet God is calling us to play a much bigger game. And actually, that's a poverty mindset of, I don't want to make too much. That's essentially you communicating. You think making too much is a bad thing. Remember, God wants to overwhelm us with resource. And so there's no such thing as making too much. And actually, just getting by is a selfish thing, because just getting by means you can only care for your family. Who else can you change? What else can you do in your life? And so there's this exercise that I do is, okay, what do you want right now? Most people say, I want another client, or I want to build this business, or I want to get the business off the ground, or I want to start this podcast, or I want to make this much money a month. You know, I want to hit that 10-figure mark a month. Okay, great. Write it all down. Let's say you're there already. Let's kind of push you a year or two from where you're at right now. Say you're there. You're sitting on your bed. You're making that money. You have that business. Maybe you have that assistant or that team. You have that community. What else do you want? Most people say, oh, okay, well, I think at this point I want to, maybe start another business, or maybe I want to hire more people, or maybe I want to travel more often and be able to kind of leave the business because it's successful and go do my own thing. Or a lot of people say, I want to start my own ministry and self-fund it, or I want to build that retreat center, or I want to help the homeless, right? They begin to get into a much deeper place and a much deeper reason for starting their business. So I say, okay, write it all down. Great. Let's say 5 years from now, that's already happened. You built a successful business. You have the money coming in. You have the team. You're also self-funding your ministry. You're also, getting that retreat center up and running. You also have the homeless center or the homeless shelter. Let's say you're there. What else do you want? And the third what else, or the second what else, is the most difficult what else to answer. What happens is we limit our imagination and our thinking to just our circumstance. Oftentimes our circumstance define our choices and our destiny. I'm not making this much money, so I want to make that much money. What else do you want to do? Because that's inevitable. When you can wake up every single day knowing, I'm going to do and build this business, I'm going to coach these people, I'm going to ask higher prices, I'm going to do that because there's a bigger reason out there for me, and I'm pursuing that, you show up into the world completely different. You show up to your clients completely different. The things that are slowing you down, holding you back, stopping you from moving forward, that stuff goes away. because you're focused on something bigger. You're not focused on the obstacle, you're focused on the vision. So I encourage everybody who's watching, ask that to yourself. Like literally take 20 minutes, really take 20 minutes. Don't just listen to this and think you're gonna do it. Like literally commit time to your calendar, 20 minutes for this exercise. Put some solid music on, like just piano or some worship music, put some music on to create an atmosphere, have your journal out, and then say, okay, God, what else do you want from me? I don't want to just get by. I want to create an overwhelming difference in this world. What else do you want from me? What else have you called me for?
I love it.
I love it.
Anything else you want to add?
Anything else you want to
I'm
add?
so sorry for the
I'm so sorry for the
Would
audio.
you please, Shawn,
Would you please, Shawn, share how people can get in touch with
reach out to you, connect?
reach out to you?
Take it away.
Take it away.
Okay, so the question, in case you didn't hear it, is how can people get connected with me? Go to our website, www.thelegacytribe.com. Legacy because we're focused on legacy, not just luxury. Tribe because we're a family, we're a unit, we are an army creating this movement moving forward. So www.thelegacytribe.com. You're going to be able to join our Facebook group there and get involved in several of our free programs that can help you move forward. Let me just say this for those of you watching. I just want to encourage you, play a bigger game. Stop settling. Go to a place that is bigger than yourself. Create generational legacy. I'm 28 years old. I don't have any kids except for Hamilton, right? My dog. I've been married for 3 years, but I know the work I'm doing now is going to ripple into my kid's life, my kids' life, and my great-great-great-grandkids' life. The people I won't even know this side of life. And so I am doing everything I can. Every day I wake up saying, okay, how can I create such impact that it makes a difference in the people in my family that I'll never get to meet, that come after me? What chains can I break that have come from previous generations so they don't have to deal with that anymore? What impact, what platform, what foundation, how can they stand on my shoulders so I can lift them to even greater levels? So I want to encourage you to play a bigger game and keep moving forward.
Awesome.
Well,
I'm
Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to
wrap this up here.
wrap this up here in just a second.
To get rid of the double audio,
To get rid of the double audio, have you click on and then I'll put the top of these things back. Thank you.
Okay, is this better? Oh, much better. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out today. Thank you 100 times. Thank you. Valuable it is. I know how busy you are. So I do really appreciate that. You guys, I'm so super excited to be able to feature Shawn today. Again, you can go check out all the amazing things we were talking about at www.thelegacytribe.com. And you'll get to learn everything that you ever wanted to know about Shawn and his tribe. I'm so grateful that I get to be a part of this tribe. He's just fabulous, and his entire team are wonderful to get to work with. Really quickly, as we wind it down, Thursday I will be back in Idaho, so I will be back at Chardonnay's Brew Lane. You guys go down there. Those of you that are watching from beautiful Treasure Valley, go down and say hi to Chardonnay. Let her know that I miss her, and I'm looking forward to seeing her this coming Thursday. Next Coffee with Christa, you guys, the one, the only Sammy Tucker. Holy buckets. For those of you guys that do not know Sammy, she is a Paralympic athlete. She is a speaker. She is one of the most dynamite influencers you will ever get to hear. She is an overcomer. She is such an amazing woman, and I'm so grateful that I get to call her friend. So she is going to be my guest next time on Coffee with Christa, which is of course coming up this coming Thursday. So make sure and tune in 10:30 a.m. Mountain Daylight Savings Time. You know where to find us. And we will be coming to you live from Chardonnay's Brew Lane. Let's see here. Really quickly, we wrapped up our 5-day Get Off the Damn Hamster Wheel challenge. Thank you to those of you who participated in that challenge. The next one coming up
mark your calendar. May 13th, it's a Monday, 5-day challenge. We are going to be teaching you about and talking about the fact that self-care is not selfish. So we are going to be helping you create your self-care plan, because manis and petties are fun. A lot of the things that we call self-care is amazing and it's important, but you know what? Sometimes it's just the icing. Self-care goes a lot deeper, and it's also something that we should all be doing daily, and that's going to be the conversation for that 5-day free challenge. So looking forward to having you guys sign up for that. Keep in mind that the page that I have open for the challenge. Thank you, Kimberly. I'm glad you were part of the challenge. I'm grateful that you're a part of the 6-week course. That's going to be fabulous. You can join that page at any time, and it'll stay a little low key. But once the next challenge gets ready to start, then I'll start making a little bit more noise on that page. Okay. So, sorry. Oh my gosh. The elevation's actually getting to me. I lived here for 43 years, and now that I come back and visit, the elevation bugs me because it's like ridiculous. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I do my very best to make sure that I get to introduce you every single week to people that I think you need to know. So I'm hoping that today you learned a lot, you got a little bit of inspiration. Thanks again to Shawn Quintero for hanging out with us today. And you guys, we'll see you on Thursday. So as always, go be blessed in your success. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.